I think it was in the first 90 days that I was doing these videos that I referenced this scripture. I did a quick video on Matthew chapter 7, verses 13 and 14, talking about the wide and the narrow gates. I'm going to speak to this scripture again and provide some more detail and context around it because I really enjoy what this scripture means. It means a lot to me, and I think we can take a lot from this scripture and apply to our lives. So day 268, Matthew chapter 7, verses 13 and 14 says this: "Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." So you know what that means? It's that the easy path, this wide road as it's described, that's the road that's always crowded. It's the road that's filled with excuses. It's the road that's filled with shortcuts, comfort zones, distraction, and people who are just okay with their current reality, even if they're living blindly. And it doesn't take much. I mean, anyone can walk down that wide road, that path of least resistance, because it doesn't take discipline, it doesn't take grit, it doesn't take hard work. It doesn't take long-term gratification, and it doesn't take true sacrifice. But the narrow road, as it describes, it says literally only a few find it, which that gives me a lot to think about because there's a lot of people on this earth and a lot of people that have come before us. But that narrow road, it's very different. It's a road that calls us to dig deep. It's a road that demands discipline. It's a road that tells us to stay true to what God's called us to, even when temptations whisper into us. It's not a road that's glamorous. It's certainly not a road of immediate gratification, but it's a road that is built to last. It's a road that leads to true life. A road that leads to truth and not destruction. And there's a quote that I love, a non-biblical quote, that it says, "Don't pray for an easy life, but pray for the strength to endure a difficult one." I think that's similarly to what's being pointed to in this scripture. Like, God never promised us that the narrow road was going to be easy. But I believe that if we truly follow this narrow road as it's described in the Bible, that long-term gratification and this like promise of salvation, like those things are absolutely worth it. But it takes us denying ourselves and avoiding temptation and loving people even if it's inconvenient and listening and going the extra mile and not cutting corners. It takes all of those things, and because of our own excuses, a lot of times we want to choose the wider path. But I think if you look at the people that really made an impact in the Bible and the people that are really out loving people and doing things today and leaders of this day and age, so leaders before and current leaders, like the real ones, the ones that are truly making an impact, I think it's those folks that are willing to walk that narrow path. The people that are living for an audience of one between them and God, and not concerned about what other people are saying about them, not concerned about being ostracized by people that are living of the flesh, but people that are truly living with such a disciplined mindset. I always say discipline is following through on what you said you were going to do yesterday and following through with that today, no matter how you feel about it today. It's that the discipline's that signed, sealed, and delivered commitment, no matter what the external circumstance is. It's just following through, and that's that narrow path of just living a life as a follower of Christ, and not based on human emotion or human circumstance or human desire. It's not always easy, but it's absolutely worth it. So I guess the question that I'm posing to myself and anyone listening is like, what road are we currently on? And like, be honest with yourself. Like, are we settling for that broad road, that road that just everyone else is on? Or are you actually willing to take the narrow road, even if you're feeling discomfort or even if you're feeling fear? Are you actually on the road that demands your best, that demands what God actually has called for you, that demands that sweat and sacrifice and sometimes struggle? Because you know in the end that if you follow that narrow road, you will truly have lived a full life, a life that God has actually called you to. So in closing, I wouldn't advise you or me or anyone to simply just always ask God for the path of least resistance, or to ask God for an easy peasy life, but instead to ask God to give us courage and strength in whatever it is that His will is for us on this earth. Like asking God for endurance and for courage to take that narrow road, even when everything inside of us wants to take the easy route. Because what I found is when you endure and you really choose that narrow path, it's in doing that actually builds real character, that builds our faith, that builds our foundation, and leads to a full life and beyond with eternal salvation. So that's just the encouragement today, is take that narrow road, because that's where true life is. Day 268.